Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome back to the course. In the last week, we studied the powerful pressure of population, urban growth, and water scarcity, and we saw how they reshape supply chains in Pakistan and across the globe. This week, we zoom into one of the most visible and controversial aspects of sustainability in logistics, which is freight transport. What freight transport? Why freight transport? Because almost every supply chain involves movement, whether it is wheat from Punjab to Karachi, textiles from Faisalabad to Europe, or imported electronics arriving at Port Qasim for sale on the Raz. Goods need to move, and movement consumes energy, produces emissions, and create externalities, side effects that go beyond commercial cost calculations. Today's lecture will focus on the environmental and social impacts of freight transport, noise accidents, worker conditions, emissions, waste, and pollution. We will also look at how these impacts are measured, including the use of carbon dioxide equivalent matrices and why some debates like food miles are more complex than they seem. By the end of this lecture, you should be able to identify the major externalities of freight transport. Number 2, understand the significance of emissions and waste in supply chains. Compare carbon dioxide across different transport modes. Relate these concepts to real-world examples. So, why freight transport matters? Freight transport is one of the most visible sustainability issues in logistics because of two reasons. First, it consumes a tremendous amount of energy. In the UK, for example, transport used over the third of all the national energy in 2020. Road transport dominates, and despite improvements in efficiency, overall demand growth keeps emissions high. Second, freight transport produces a range of externalities, costs or damages not directly paid by the shipper or carrier, but borne by society. These include traffic noise, congestion, pollution, accidents, and pressure on workers. In Pakistan, we see this every day. Trucks moving goods from Karachi to Lahore clog the highways. Diesel fumes pollute the air in urban centers. Riders working for Careem or Baikia or Food Panda are under pressure to deliver fast, sometimes at the cost of their own safety. All of this shows why freight is not just a technical logistics issue, but a core sustainability challenge. Let's see some key externalities of freight transport, which is noise. Have you ever tried to sleep in a neighborhood near a main highway in Lahore or Karachi? Noise is one of the underestimated impacts of freight transport. According to the World Health Organization, noise pollution ranks just after air pollution as a public health stressor. Constant exposure to heavy traffic noise leads to stress, sleep disruption, and long-term cardiovascular problems, in fact. For logistics, this translates into operational restrictions. For example, many European cities impose nighttime ban on freight flights to protect communities from noise. If Pakistan develops similar policy in future urban planning, supply chains will need to adjust. Accidents. Heavy freight vehicles are disproportionately dangerous on the road. Compared to cars, accidents involve large trucks and more severe and often fatal. This risk is even higher in countries where traffic law enforcement is weak and roads are poorly maintained. Pakistan is a strong example. The Karachi-Hyderabad motorway often witnesses deadly collisions involving overloaded trucks. Logistics managers cannot ignore this risk because accidents disrupt supply chains, damage goods, increase insurance costs, and most importantly, cause human suffering. Modes that operate on segregated infrastructure such as railways and inland waterways are less prone to mixed traffic accidents. This is the one reason why investments in rail freight under the China Pakistan Economic Corridor (CPEC) are so significant. They offer not only efficiency but also safety improvements. Worker rights and labor conditions. Freight sustainability is not just about carbon, it is also about people. Drivers and riders face enormous stress with the rise of telematics, GPS monitoring, and strict delivery schedules. Workers are under constant surveillance. In Pakistan, we see this with courier companies and e-commerce deliveries. Riders for Careem or Daraz often work long hours, exposed to extreme weather with limited job security and modest pay. These are not just labor issues, they are sustainability concerns under the people dimension of the triple bottom line. As future managers, you must ask, are efficiency gains coming at the cost of workers, dignity and safety? And if yes, this is not a sustainable supply chain. Number 3. Emissions and waste measuring. Environmental impact, GHG focus and CO2. When we talk about emissions, we often focus on greenhouse gases, but there are many other types: carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide and more. To compare them, scientists use the concept of CO2 equivalent CO2e, which expresses the global warming potential of each gas in terms of CO2. Transport is a major emitter in the UK. Transport accounted for about 25% of national emissions. Globally, transport accounts for around 8% of emissions, while warehousing adds another 4%. This shows that logistics managers cannot claim to be sustainable unless they tackle transport emissions. Marine pollution and coastal impacts. Shipping may have low emissions per ton kilometer, but it comes with another problem: pollution. Pollution near coastlines. Studies estimate that about 70% of shipping emissions occur with 400 km of land, meaning that coastal population bear the brunt of pollution. In Pakistan, think of Karachi, the port handles the majority of imports and exports, and the surrounding population is directly exposed to emissions from container ships and trucks. The use of bunker fuel, a highly polluting residue from oil refining, has been linked to severe health impacts globally. Some estimates suggest that 600,000 deaths per year worldwide are connected to shipping emissions. This is why regional regulations such as fuel sulfur caps are emerging in global shipping. For Pakistan, compliance is important if we want our export to remain competitive and our ports to remain healthy for surrounding communities. The food miles complexity. Now, let us tackle a popular but misleading concept: food miles. Many consumers assume that a distance a product travels automatically determines its sustainability impact. But distance alone is not enough. For example, studies once compared New Zealand lamb shipped to the UK with locally produced UK lamb. Surprisingly, the New Zealand lamb had a lower total carbon footprint. Why? Because the production system in New Zealand was much more energy efficient, and sea transport, though long distance, was low carbon per ton kilometer. This teaches us that mode, efficiency and production practices matter more than distance alone. For Pakistani exports like mangoes or textile, this insight is crucial. Air-shipped mangoes to Dubai may have far higher emissions than sea-shipped textiles to Europe, even if the textile travel a greater distance. Transport mode. To put this into perspective, let us look at typical emissions per ton kilometer. Air haul is about 100 and 600, air long haul is 600, van is 280, HGV is a heavy good vehicle is about 100, rail is 30 and sea is approximately 15. Indicative figures are not exact values. This comparison shows why mode choice is a sustainability decision. Air freight is extremely carbon intensive, while sea freight is comparatively efficient. Road freight sits in between, but because it dominates inland logistics, its total impact is the largest. For example, in Pakistan, over 90% of inland freight moves by road. This means that the sector contributes disproportionately to emissions, congestion, and air pollution. Rail freight has declined over the years due to poor infrastructure and mismanagement. Reversing this trend would bring significant sustainability gains. So, dear students, today we explored why freight transport is central to sustainability discussions in logistics and supply chain management. We learned that freight consumes enormous energy and produces externalities like noise, accidents and labor stress, emissions and waste, and transport is a major contributor to global greenhouse gases. Shipping, while efficient per ton kilometer, creates pollution near costs, while air freight is the most carbon intensive mode. The debate over food miles shows us that sustainability is not about distance alone, but about mode, efficiency, and production systems. In Pakistan, the dominance of road freight is a major sustainability challenge but also an opportunity for reform. In our next lecture, we will continue this discussion by examining the sustainability profiles of each major transport mode, the factor that determine mode choice and the strategic options available to managers. We will also explore how Pakistani logistics through projects like CPAC rail corridors and Gwadar Port can align with global sustainability goals. Thank you so much. Now I look forward to continuing this conversation in lecture 2.